The big debate today is if marriage is worth it for the modern man and woman. The average man. This is what Kevin has to say. Check this out.
Marriage going to work for most people in today's modern world? I don't think so. Why? Because average women do not want average men. Average women want high value men. There is only a small portion of high value men who can actually get a larger return on investment from the union of marriage, more than just family legacy, that kind of stuff. That's why you tend to see millionaires and billionaires married. But the people in the middle, there used to be a benefit to average men for marrying. Today, there's little to no benefit for an average man to marry because average women don't want them. And if an average woman was to get with an average man, the majority of women would think they're settling.
Do you agree? Do you agree that women who don't get their perfect ideal man will eventually feel like she's settling? Which is one of the reasons why women in droves are running to the divorce court. Because they realize that honeymoon stage is worn off. And the guy that they settled for didn't turn out to be who she really wanted. Unfortunately, I agree. Unfortunately, because it does us no good. When you think about marriage, right? And I'm twice married and twice divorced. You think about, there's two. So the question is marriage worth it in 2022? The big debate. And this can be a long conversation. It's going to be a short video. But this is just a teaser for a bigger conversation. When you think about high value men, right, as laid out by Kevin's standards, the 6 points. When you think about high value men, you see them all the time, married with women that most people would describe as not as desirable as most high value men would want. But when you ask those men about their wives, you discover that those women were with them way back in high school. Those are their high school sweethearts, college sweethearts. They met when they were 18, 19 years old, and they grew into their wealth, and they've been rocking together ever since. The question is, for the single woman, the woman in her 20s, maybe mid 20s, the women in their 30s, the women in their 40s. As Kevin explains, these women want high value men, but do high value men want them? And if they did, the question to that man would be, what would be the benefit of him marrying an older woman? I saw an interview with Dan Blitzerian. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with who Dan Blitzerian is. He's a poker player. He's kind of like a gigolo, gets a lot of girls. Very popular on Instagram, made money through poker. And he was asked by, I think Dana Pena. I'm not sure who asked him. But he was asked, does he ever see himself getting married? He flat out said no. He said, no, I don't see myself getting married because there's no upside to it for me. And when he said that, I was like, wow. He's like, what's the benefit for me, a multimillionaire, guy who can have all the fun that he wants to have, travel the world, go where he wants, move when he wants, does his business. Why would I settle down with one woman for the rest of my life? You ever heard of the analogy where they say getting married is like taking your iPod, your MP3 player filled with all your favorite music, all the music you've accumulated over the years, and throwing it all away, deleting all your songs, and you just get to keep one. You get to listen to one song for the rest of your life, over and over and over again. Dan was like, yo, why would I get married? There's no upside to it. Doesn't make any sense for me. What advantage would I have in getting married to a woman in the situation that I'm in now? I'm not sure how old Dan Bilzerian is. Probably in his 30s, maybe mid 30s, maybe early 40s. I'm not sure. Has women all, whenever you see him with women, they're in a bikini. That guy. And it makes you ask the question, not the guys that's been rocking with their wives since they were 18, 19 years old, but what about the older gentleman who's come into wealth? Hey, Kim. Hey, Snuggles. What about the older gentleman who's come into wealth? He wants companionship, but should he get married? What is the benefit to an older gentleman with money to get married today? What up? Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you take the 2 cars to the gas station and fill them? All right. The one up on Slauson and there you go. You use this card, huh? The one with the fancy car wash on top. That one. Yeah, fill both cars. Take the 2 center cars, not the out. Leave the Porsche. Yeah, these. Yeah. Fill it up. Fill them both all the way up as much as you can get in there. Shove it with gas all the way to the top. Use regular gas. Cool. Yep. Thanks, bro. Sorry about that. One of my assistants, I'm going to put some gas in the car for him, in some of my cars. The benefit for for a high value guy getting married, that's what we were talking about. For the guy that has it all, he has everything he needs, he has money, he's established. Why would he want to get married? It's a good question. But let's talk about the average guy. That's what Kevin is talking about. He says average men, there's little to no benefit for average men even getting married today. I could see if you're a millionaire, you got a bunch of money already established, you good, you got a bunch of bread, and you don't want somebody to come in and you don't know if they really love you for you. You don't know if they're really on your team. And so you're like, yeah, I'm not really sure I want to get married to, because, what's the odds with a divorce rate of 44% in America, right? It came down because it went over 50%. The divorce rate in America dropped, but it dropped because the marriage rate dropped. Less people were getting married to contribute to the divorce rate. So they both dropped succinctly. So if you knew that you had a 50% chance of failure, would you do it? And you're a millionaire? But what if you're an average guy? Let's discuss the average guys. Kevin he says, listen, why would even an average guy get married? Why would the regular guy that works as a postal carrier, the regular guy that works as a teller at Bank of America, the guy that works as a manager at Target, your regular guy makes an average salary. Let's say he makes $50,000 a year. Why would he get married? What would be the advantage for that gentleman to get married today? When it seems, especially in the black community, the women don't want average men. If you got a legion of women who all want the same guy, that same high value guy, and that guy doesn't want to marry women because he's worried about his wealth and he has options. So you got a lot of women who want a few men, and those few men don't want those women. And then the guys that those women are passing by are looking at these women pass them by. What would incentivize that man to ask for one of those women hand in marriage? What up, She? What up, Eric? What up, Steve? Why would he bother asking for that woman's hand in marriage if he knows that you didn't want me? I'm second choice. I'm third choice. I'm your fourth choice. You chased after all these gigolos, after all these dudes with money. You laid with them. You gave your purity to them. You gave away some of them impregnated you. And now you want me to marry you now that you're older? You don't even like me. And what's going to happen, as Kevin lays out in this video, is you're going to end up feeling like you settled, and then it's going to be resentment set into our relationship, and problems are going to arise whether you like it or not. Now, there's certainly some financial benefits for an average couple to get married. Think about it. I mean, there's tax breaks, right? There's tax breaks when a couple makes less than what is it, $250,000 or is it $500,000 a year? There's certain tax brackets that they get to put themselves in to benefit themselves from a tax perspective. And then there's other perks. There's other reasons why, from an estate planning standpoint, as to why you would want to get married. But there's ways around that, even when you're single and you establish and you handle your business properly. But then there's the social stigma of being single. In the military, I'll give you a story. Did you know that in the military, rarely does commissioned officers exceed past the rank of major if they don't have a wife? You could be the best second lieutenant. You could be the best first lieutenant. You can be an amazing captain of your battalion. No, that would be a colonel. You could be an amazing captain. You could become an amazing major, but rarely do you move past major and become a colonel if you don't have a wife. It's a good old boy system that's there. And what that shows the military, whether you know it or not, is that person is grounded and has a sense of stability in his life. But that's an old system. Is that really working today? Especially with the high rate of divorce for people. Average men, I'm curious, is getting married worth it for you in 2022? And why do you want to get married? Average guys, regular guys, not millionaires, not guys out there doing $300,000 a year. I'm not talking to the men who's making $20,000 a month. I'm not talking to them. I'm not talking to the guys who generate $30,000 a month. I'm not talking to the men who make $1,000 a day. I'm talking to the average guys. Gentlemen, do you see any benefit in getting married today? When you know what the dating scene is like, as you watch women pass you by, chasing other men that don't even want them back. And then eventually they'll come around and settle for you. Do you think that she'll be happy for the rest of her life? Or do you think potentially you'll be heading for divorce? Remember, the divorce rate is the worst for the young. Typically older people, and the divorce rate is increasing for them too, but older people tend to just stick it out. They're like, what the hell? What's the point? Why get a divorce now? What I'm gonna do? Hit the dating scene, hit the club at 55? It doesn't make any sense, right? What I'm gonna be doing? Going out to the beach at 60? They tend to stick it out. They need somebody to give them their insulin shots and to accompany them to their doctor appointments. But young people, they're running to the altar and they're running to the divorce court. And they have the worst divorce rate of all. I believe the last time I looked, it was 27 out of 1,000. Young people 14 to 24 were getting divorced, and then it was 27 out of 1,000. 14 to 24 getting divorced, and then after that, I think it was 25 out of 1,000 from 24 to 30. Listen, here's the question. Ask yourself, is it worth it to you? Kimberly is asking me in the chat, do I see a reason to get married again? Me, a third time. after what I've gone through with my last 2 marriages, with what I have, who I am, I'll say this. I'm going to ask a question to myself, and I don't want to give it right here, but this is a question I want every man to ask himself. Is it worth it to you? What's the upside of getting married? Maybe you're on your way to high value man status. Maybe you are on the cusp of that breakthrough, right? Do you see marriage as a hindrance or a help? Is it a distraction to have a woman and to have to take care of a woman and to provide for her and protect her and problem solve for her while you're on your way trying to climb the ladder? Because she's going to be needy. She's going to need you. She will need you. It's not like you're going to be able to just, marriage is not a hands-off institution. It's not a hands-off job, ladies and gentlemen. The lead attorney says there's 3 things you need to ask or say or think before you get married. 3 things or in fact you need to do. The first one is lead attorney says, and he's a 20-year divorce attorney. Number 1, do not get married without a prenup, and it doesn't matter how much money you make. You could be broke, still do a prenup. This is 20 years worth of advice from a divorce attorney. Number 1, a prenup. It protects women and it protects men. It protects both parties. Absolutely. The second thing he says is you need to know yourself. Do you know yourself? Be secure and solid with who you are before you consider getting married. And the third question that lead says is ask yourself why. Why am I getting married? What is the purpose of me getting married? Am I getting married because I'm in love and this person makes me feel good and I just love being around them and I want to live with them and I want to be with them? It just feels so good. Love is a fleeting feeling. You know that, right? There's going to be times that you don't love them. There's going to be times that you can't stand them. Sorry, it's truth. Ask yourself, why do you want to get married and is it worth it to you? This is to everybody. This is to the average people watching my show. Listen, I'm Mr. Shan. I hope you learned something today. I'm just trying to save you some heartache, headache, money, and time. You are dismissed.